There's a place on Earth so remote, so forbidding, that it might as well belong to another world. A land encased in miles of ice, where temperatures fall beyond comprehension and daylight can vanish for months. But beneath that frozen silence, something stirs. This is not just the story of a continent. It's the story of what may lie hidden beneath it. Ancient maps that seem to chart the impossible. Lost civilizations, spoken of in whispers and legend, that may have once walked its now buried valleys. Nazi expeditions with secret agendas, military missions that ended in retreat, and strange satellite signatures, signals that something massive lies buried far below. Antarctica is a mystery vault locked tight by ice and secrecy. Every time humanity has tried to peek behind the curtain, it has been met with silence, or something worse. So, what's really going on at the bottom of the world? In this investigation, we'll peel back the layers, from forbidden history to suppressed science, to ask the questions no one else dares. Not to prove, but to provoke. Not to claim answers, but to reveal what's been hidden in plain sight. Because sometimes, the coldest places on Earth hold the hottest secrets. Part 1. Ancient Maps and Lost Civilizations. They shouldn't exist, and yet they do. Maps, drawn centuries before Antarctica was officially discovered, and yet somehow depicting it with shocking accuracy. In 1513, the Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri Reis created a map that baffled historians. Though only a fragment survives today, it includes part of the South American coastline and something else. A curved, mountainous landmass at the bottom of the world, not just present, but drawn as if it were ice-free. Skeptics dismiss it. But geologists notice something strange. When overlaid on modern seismic scans, the shape of this pre-glacial coastline matches the actual subglacial landmass beneath Antarctica's thick ice sheet. That detail wasn't rediscovered until the mid-20th century. Another map surfaced in 1531, drawn by Orontius Phineas, a French mathematician. His depiction of Antarctica included rivers, mountain ranges, and coastlines completely free of ice. Not fantasy, topography. Almost as if someone had charted the land before it was buried under thousands of feet of ice. So who could have drawn these? The mystery deepens with the work of Professor Charles Hapgood, whose controversial theory of Earth crust displacement proposed that entire continents could shift positions rapidly, triggering mass catastrophes and erasing civilizations. Hapgood believed a seafaring culture could have mapped the world tens of thousands of years ago, including Antarctica when it was still temperate. Even Albert Einstein lent his name to Hapgood's work, writing in support of the possibility that the Earth's crust might have shifted as a whole over the inner layers due to polar imbalances. The implications are staggering. If Antarctica was once ice-free and inhabited, what happened to those civilizations? Were they destroyed by cataclysm, or did they go underground, literally? Legends across the world echo this idea. Ancient Hindu texts speak of a southern landmass called Patala, a realm of underground dwellers. The Greeks whispered of Hyperborea, a radiant advanced society near the poles. And of course, the enduring myth of Atlantis, a continent advanced beyond its time, lost to the sea. Could these legends be the fragmented memory of an ancient world swallowed by ice? Satellite scans have revealed possible rectangular formations beneath the surface, too symmetrical for nature alone. And geothermal hotspots exist where no tectonic activity should be, raising the question, is something beneath the ice still active? This isn't pseudoscience. This is the echo of a history we've chosen to forget. The maps are real. The legends are consistent. The evidence, scattered but mounting, and it leads to one inescapable question. What if Antarctica isn't just a frozen wasteland, but the preserved tomb of a forgotten world? Part 2, Nazi Expeditions and Base 211. In the years leading up to World War II, the Nazi regime pursued more than military dominance. They sought something deeper, something ancient. In 1938, the German ship Schwabenland set sail for the most desolate place on Earth. This was no ordinary voyage. On board were elite teams, aerial surveillance planes, and a directive issued from the highest levels of Nazi command. The destination, Antarctica. The operation, Neuschwabenland. Using Dornier seaplanes launched by catapults, the Germans flew dozens of reconnaissance missions over Queen Maud Land, photographing and surveying the icy expanse. But they weren't just taking pictures. They were dropping metal darts emblazoned with swastikas, staking a symbolic claim on the frozen continent. According to official records, they were mapping territory and searching for whaling routes. But unofficially, their mission may have gone much further. Whispers from post-war sources speak of a hidden facility, Base 211, allegedly constructed in a mountainous region of Antarctica, possibly within natural caves or lava tubes beneath the surface. Reports suggested geothermal pockets deep below the ice made human habitation possible, and with German engineering and secrecy, such a base could have been well hidden, even sustained. Was it merely a myth, a Cold War legend, or something more? After Germany's defeat, Allied intelligence began investigating strange anomalies. Several U-boats were found scuttled in South American waters long after the war had ended, their crews refusing to speak. One of the most infamous, U-530, surrendered mysteriously in Argentina in 1945. No cargo, no logbook, no explanation. What had it delivered, and where had it been? Theories arose that high-ranking Nazis had escaped, not to Europe, but to a fortified Antarctic redoubt. Among the names floated Hans Kammler, an SS engineer tied to secret weapons projects and rumored to have knowledge of experimental propulsion systems. Kammler vanished in the final days of the war. His body was never found. Soviet intelligence took the threat seriously. In declassified archives, there are references to continued Nazi presence in Antarctica well into the 1950s. Some Soviet reports even reference unexplained aerial craft spotted near polar zones, craft that moved in ways conventional aircraft could not replicate. American military analysts began taking interest too, especially when whispers emerged of advanced German experiments in propulsion, anti-gravity, and high-frequency technologies during the war's final phase. If such projects had been relocated and preserved in Antarctica, it would explain the veil of secrecy that soon descended over the continent. By 1946, the United States launched Operation Highjump, the largest expedition ever sent to Antarctica. Ostensibly a training mission, but the timing, scale, and urgency raised eyebrows. Could Operation Highjump have been a reconnaissance mission, a show of force, or even a search and destroy operation? Some believe that what the Germans found beneath the ice wasn't just territory, it was technology, relics of an earlier epoch, an ancient power source, or even contact with something non-human. Documents recovered after the war suggest the Nazis were deeply obsessed with ancient myths, occult energy, and lost civilizations, from Thule to Atlantis. They believed that Antarctica may have once been the cradle of ancient knowledge, frozen in time. If they found evidence of that, would they really have shared it with the world? Even today, much of the Neuschwabenland expedition remains classified or unexamined. The icy continent guards its secrets well, but traces remain, Old photos, odd stories, and the silent testimony of the sea. And still, somewhere beneath the snow, the myth of Base 211 refuses to die. Part 3, Operation Highjump. In 1946, just months after the end of World War II, the United States launched one of the largest military operations ever attempted in the polar regions. It was called Operation Highjump. Officially led by Admiral Richard E. Byrd, the expedition's declared goal was to test personnel and equipment in frigid conditions, but the scope of the mission told a different story. 13 ships, over 4,700 personnel, aircraft carriers, destroyers, and reconnaissance planes, all headed to one of the most remote and inhospitable places on Earth. Why such overwhelming force for a training exercise? The official narrative claimed scientific research, mapping, and survival training. But Admiral Byrd's own post-expedition interviews revealed something more alarming. In a Chilean newspaper interview in 1947, Byrd made a chilling statement. The United States should prepare to defend itself against aircraft flying in from the polar regions at incredible speed. That comment was swiftly buried. Shortly after the operation began, things turned strange. Reports emerged of sudden aircraft losses, mechanical failures, and bizarre weather phenomena. The mission, which was expected to last 6 to 8 months, was abruptly terminated after just 8 weeks. Why? The Navy gave no clear explanation. Some accounts, from crewmen and whispered sources, suggest that U.S. forces encountered something unexpected. One version, told through layers of classified briefings and secondhand testimonies, claimed that advanced aerial craft emerged from under the ice, craft capable of extreme acceleration, silent maneuvering, and vertical takeoff. These weren't German planes, and they weren't from any known military. They moved like nothing else in the sky. According to some theories, Operation Highjump may have stumbled upon an ancient defensive system, something still active beneath the ice. Others suggest they confronted a hidden civilization, possibly breakaway human or something more exotic, with technology far superior to our own. But there was no official admission, no footage, no hard evidence released to the public. Only silence. Admiral Byrd, once hailed as a heroic explorer, was reassigned and faded from public life. His personal logs from the expedition were reportedly classified and locked away. Rumors persist that he documented unexplainable phenomena, but no verified source has seen these notes in their entirety. By the 1950s, Antarctica became a different place. International treaties were drafted, scientific bases established, but high-level access became heavily restricted. Operation Highjump wasn't followed by more military exploration. It was followed by secrecy and questions. Why did the most powerful navy in the world retreat from an empty, frozen continent? What did Admiral Byrd really see? And why was his warning about fast-moving aerial threats from the pole ignored? The deeper we look, the more it seems Operation Highjump was never just about survival training. It was an expedition into the unknown, a test of something that tested us in return. Antarctica is not just a land of ice, it is a land of patterns. For decades, satellites have scanned its surface, cataloging glaciers and tectonic ridges. But increasingly, they've captured something else, things that shouldn't be there. Structures, grids, symmetries that defy geology. In 2013, researchers using remote sensing technology discovered a series of massive subsurface anomalies beneath the ice near Wilkes Land. The readings suggested an impact crater over 300 miles wide. But what drew deeper interest were the voids inside it, vast semi-spherical cavities, hollow zones with internal heat signatures. NASA's GRACE satellite picked up gravitational anomalies in the same region, as if something dense, metallic, and artificial were embedded deep beneath the surface. Then came the radar echoes. High-frequency scans revealed angular reflections, consistent with man-made structures, not natural formations. Some reports even mentioned hexagonal patterns and triangular symmetry repeating across miles. These were not chaotic. They were aligned, deliberate. Could they be the remains of ancient cities, preserved beneath layers of time and frost? Geothermal maps from European and American agencies highlight localized heat spikes, including in areas with no volcanic activity. These are pockets where ice melts from below, not above. The implication: active energy sources, still emitting warmth after millennia. Scientists dismiss it as geologic quirk, but what if it's something else? Then there's the Ross Ice Shelf, where radar mapping found domed shapes and chambers, perfectly circular, with acoustic signatures unlike any natural cave. Some lie hundreds of meters down. Seismic instruments recorded pulses, low-frequency vibrations resonating at harmonic intervals. Some theorists suggest these pulses are mechanical, signals or remnants of ancient power systems, maybe even resonance-based energy grids, akin to those attributed to lost civilizations like Atlantis. The geometry aligns with sacred architecture, Fibonacci spirals, golden ratios, and node points that intersect with Earth's magnetic ley lines, as if the entire region were once part of an intentionally constructed planetary network. And it doesn't stop there. Insiders from defense contractors and black budget programs have leaked reports of buried chambers with sealed access points, places where excavation was attempted and halted. One alleged account from a whistleblower claims that in the early 2000s, a covert multinational team entered a deep crevasse near the South Pole and discovered a vault, smooth walls, inscriptions in unknown script, and an entrance that required vibration-based unlocking. The team was reportedly extracted, the site sealed, the event buried. Other rumors speak of underground domes, miles wide, filled with atmospheric readings unlike anything on the surface, as if they preserve a biosphere or a dormant technology. And then there are the no-fly zones. Multiple areas in Antarctica are strictly prohibited from air traffic, even by scientific teams. Pilots report GPS jamming, magnetic interference, and phantom terrain appearing on radar that vanishes on approach. What are they protecting? Some claim these zones conceal sealed entrances, too precise to be natural. Others hint at vault systems that connect through lava tubes or under ice tunnels, extending for hundreds of miles, a frozen version of what we now call deep underground military bases. But perhaps the most haunting thought of all: what if these structures aren't ruins? What if they're still operational? A machine buried in time, an arc, a warning, waiting, and every anomaly we detect, every heat pulse, every harmonic echo, is a sign that it hasn't gone silent. It's just sleeping. There are places on Earth where reality begins to fray, and Antarctica may be one of them. Beyond the ice, beyond the vaults and domes, lies a layer of mystery even harder to detect. Anomalies in time, magnetism, and perception. It begins with satellites. In multiple cases, orbital systems passing over Antarctica have reported GPS drift, coordinates that don't match, clocks that lag or race ahead, and data packets that vanish altogether. While blamed on magnetic fluctuations, some researchers quietly admit, we don't fully understand it. One joint European mission in the early 2000s observed a temporal offset over part of East Antarctica. Instruments measuring synchronized atomic clocks showed slight but persistent desynchronization over a circular region. The effect vanished once the satellite left orbit. A software glitch, perhaps, or a field of altered time. And what about on the ground? Personnel at multiple research stations, including Vostok, Concordia, and McMurdo, have reported periods of missing time, sudden fatigue, and even visual distortions when operating near certain glacial fissures. In some cases, entire drone flights have returned with scrambled telemetry or audio that picks up low-frequency tones beneath the Antarctic wind. These aren't isolated incidents. In 2017, a Chilean flight crew reported a phenomenon they called the false sky. As they ascended over the polar plateau, they observed an optical displacement, auroras shimmering above what appeared to be a duplicate layer of clouds. The light refracted incorrectly. Instruments registered an atmosphere twice as thick as expected, then recalibrated as if nothing had happened. What did they fly through? Some researchers believe that deep below the ice, electromagnetic fields, possibly remnants of ancient infrastructure, still pulse in cycles. These fields could cause localized distortions in time and space perception, much like magnetic anomalies in the Bermuda Triangle. Others suggest these effects are deliberate, a defense mechanism left behind by a previous civilization to ward off intruders. Even stranger are the rumors of null zones, places where radio fails, compasses spin, and even thought feels distorted. A few whistleblowers from classified geological missions describe them as pockets of interference where technology malfunctions and people feel watched. And what about the idea, impossible though it may sound, that time itself might flow differently in certain buried regions? Theoretical physics allows for closed time-like curves in the presence of strong enough gravitational or electromagnetic fields. Could Antarctica, with its mass and possible substructures, serve as a natural or artificial anchor point? Could something be buried there that bends reality? A power source? A machine? A relic from before history? One declassified Soviet memo from the 1960s references a chronometric disturbance observed by a science team in Queen Maud Land. The wording is vague, but it speaks of a delay in perceived field progression and displacement within polar harmonic registers. Translation: time didn't behave normally, whether these are glitches in equipment or cracks in our understanding of the universe. No one can say for sure. But Antarctica isn't just remote. It's inaccessible in ways we still don't understand. And somewhere, beneath the silence, something is still pulsing, not with life, but with a rhythm not meant for human ears. So what lies beneath Antarctica's eternal frost? Is it the shattered remains of a lost civilization? The hollowed-out lair of those who fled history? Or a machine, sleeping, ancient, aware, and waiting? We've followed the maps that shouldn't exist. We've tracked the expeditions that vanished into myth. We've heard the whispers of vaults, of pulses, of places where time bends. We've seen enough to know one thing for certain. Antarctica is not empty. It is a puzzle locked in ice, where every new answer only opens a deeper question. Why are so many areas restricted? Why do satellites fail, records vanish, and explorers speak in riddles? Why does every government fall silent? Maybe the question isn't what's hidden beneath the ice, but who put it there, and why they don't want it found. We are left with fragments, old maps, seismic shadows, forbidden files, but taken together, they draw a shape, a warning, frozen into Earth's last untouched frontier. And this story isn't over. Coming soon in part 2, the suppressed tech files. We'll investigate the ancient devices said to power these vaults, Tesla's theories reinterpreted through polar anomalies, and the black budget programs that may have already breached the ice subscribe for more deep dives into what the world forgot, or was made to forget, because Antarctica isn't just a destination, it's a threshold, and once crossed, there's no going back.